Welcome back. Temperatures are rising in Imperial County, killing 22 people so far this year. And with the county expecting more days of extreme heat in the future, advocates say officials need to do more to protect vulnerable people, especially the homeless. iNewsSource has been following this story. Editor Mary Plummer joins us now this morning. Thanks so much for being here with us.
Good morning, Stella.
Good morning. Yeah, so why are advocates making these claims, Mary?
So nonprofit leaders tell us that the city has neglected the needs of homeless folks in recent months at the same time that Calexico has been dealing with very, very hot temperatures. There's a couple of main concerns here. One, the city's cooling center was only open for a few hours a day over the summer. Location is also a problem. The cooling center is located in the Calexico Community Center, which is in a residential area that's about a mile from downtown where a lot of people who are unhoused typically stay. So it's been hard for some of them to get there. The cooling center just hasn't been convenient for a lot of folks.
And you mentioned Calexico. Your team spent time there working on this story. What else did you find?
So our photographer, Zoe Myers, spent time in Calexico in recent months. She worked on this story with our reporter, Kate Cicada. I think we have some of Zoe's photos here to show you now. In talking with folks, she learned that some of the folks who are living outside were not aware of the cooling center. So clearly some communication and outreach challenges there. One person who we interviewed was friends with someone who died after showing signs of heat exhaustion. They were worried they might suffer the same fate. So this heat challenge is really causing a lot of anxiety for people who are unhoused. Another problem that we found is that public restrooms downtown were closed, and there also wasn't a lot of access to public water fountains. So you can imagine on those hot days, that really became a stress and a challenge for people who didn't have stable housing.
Mary, just how hot did it get on some of these days? And advocates also saying that the pandemic made this much worse, right? Can you elaborate on that?
Right. We're talking about temperatures exceeding 115 degrees. So days over the summer that really hit high heat levels. In terms of the pandemic, back in March of 2020, Calexico closed public bathrooms and water fountains as part of a sweeping public health mandate. Since then, over the spring, we did see some public bathrooms and water fountains open up, but not everything has. There are still some closures that are affecting folks. And it's quite interesting. You know, this is an issue that even some city leaders acknowledge is quite a problem. One council member that we interviewed went so far as to say that people have died on the city's watch. So clearly, you know, this council member and some of these advocates would like to see the city putting more funding towards some of these safety issues when it comes to extreme weather.
Yeah, we're talking about 22 people have died so far this year.
Yeah, it's a big number. And, you know, we took a look back at what that looks like, and it's one of the higher numbers in the past 15 years or so. So going forward, you know, advocates are calling to reopen these bathrooms, to put more money toward fixing the water fountains and making improvements. The city's also expected to receive $9.5 million from the American Rescue Plan. That is federal funding. So some folks are calling for that money to go toward resources for these hot summers. County officials are expecting that we'll likely see more hot summers coming here in the future if these climate trends do continue.
Yeah, you just mentioned some of the changes that they want to see. Anything else? And just how soon can these changes, you know, happen? How soon will they be able to use this money?
I think folks have really been surprised by the lack of action at this point. We're quite a ways into the pandemic, and people felt that there should have been more change so far. There has been a little bit of movement, but we haven't got confirmation yet from anyone out in Calexico as to whether some of those changes will be happening in the next few months. That money is starting to trickle out. Some of the money has gone towards fire and police resources, so not necessarily towards heat, but there is still a chunk of money left that could be spent on making some of these improvements.
Mary, have you guys been able to talk to any of the family members connected to these people who have died because of the heat?
Our photographer Zoe Myers was out in Calexico over the weekend and actually attended a memorial for someone who was homeless and died recently. So she connected with a lot of folks
Yeah.
during that memorial. So certainly it's something that the community is aware of.
Right.
We are hoping to get back out there and spend more time. If anyone in Calexico has other insights on this issue, it's one that we'll certainly be following. Our website is inewssource.org. We'd love to hear from folks who are experiencing this firsthand. As you mentioned, over 22 deaths so far in Calexico this
Yeah,
year.
that is a big number. One death is too many. Mary Plummer with iNewsSource, thank you so much for talking with us and for raising awareness on this, because I don't think a lot of people knew what was going on.
Thank you, Sarah.
Yeah, of course. Great to see you.